What you see here is the project we are gonna build today. So this is gonna be a real-time website builder. So what we can do, we have a website description text box here. So I can describe any kind of website I want to build. So a retro 90s hacker website with some advanced CSS, email input form, glowing fonts, 2 embedded videos. Click on generate website, and then we should see in live preview here how the website is being built, right? I think this is a super cool project. You can see here we are embedding our videos, we are kind of creating the title, the email form, and this is all being done in like real time, so you can see it's changing. And we also have added like a modified website form here, so we can kind of change up the website after a while. So when this is done now, yeah, it looks pretty cool, but it's a bit off to the left. The embeddings are quite big, right? So let's try to change that with a new prompt here. So let's do center all elements, make the embeddings 100% smaller. We click on modify website. You can see now we're gonna try to center everything. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we got the smaller embeddings. So this is the project we are gonna do together today. We are only gonna use LLMs like Claude 3.5. You can choose ChatGPT if you want to use that too. It's a pretty cool project and it's super fun to play around with. We don't have to do only websites. So let me show you another cool thing you can do with this. So we can do display the following image, just paste it on URL, make it a dark theme or something like that. We can generate this, and this will kind of display an image here. And then we can kind of modify the code afterwards. So we can do like something like, yeah, we can try to make it smaller and make it spin maybe. Make it smaller and make it spin, I don't know, clockwise. So let's try that. So this should work pretty good. So you can see we got it smaller, we got it to spin. Also zoom in and out and spin, something like that. So we can do all kinds of things. We are using HTML and CSS for this now, so you can see we can manipulate and do all kind of things kind of in this live preview window. So it's a super cool project, and it's a bit long of a video, but I think if you watch this video you can kind of take these principles and kind of apply them to all kind of different projects you want to do. So I will publish this code on GitHub, and I will also leave a link to my website where you can go try this out for yourself if you don't want to build it yourself. But yeah, let's just get going, and yeah, super fun video. Hope you will enjoy it. Let's just go quickly over what you will need to actually complete this project. So you can see you need kind of access to Claude.ai, ChatGPT, or some other kind of LLM, right? I kind of recommend these two, but you can use Google or other Meta, maybe something like that too. That should be fine. For this particular project, you will need like an OpenAI API key. That could also be similar, could be Anthropic, Gemini, yeah, Llama 3 maybe, I don't know. But I would recommend OpenAI or Anthropic. You will also need an IDE. So I'm going to use VS Code, but that's kind of up to you, right? And we're going to use JavaScript, Node, and React in this project. So that is basically all you need. And then you can kind of follow my steps. You can kind of copy my prompts if you want to do that. But let's not don't spend too much time on this. You will kind of see through the project what you will be needing. So yeah, I think we're just going to move on and get started. Okay, so for this project, I will be using Claude projects. If you don't have access to this, this is not necessary. But since I have access, I like to use that. You can still just use the free version of Claude and the free version of GPT-4o or the pro version of OpenAI. It doesn't really matter too much. But since I already have access, I kind of want to use projects. So behind my head here, I can click on a button called Create Project. We're just going to call it Real-Time Website. Yeah. Builder. Doesn't really matter too much, but just give it a name. We're gonna set some parameters here. So you can see set custom instructions. I think we're just gonna start with that. Again, this is not necessary, but I like to use it. So the custom instruction we will be using today, again, you don't have to do this, but I have prepared this prompt, and I always like to include this if I have the opportunity. Just on my experience, I think it's just works better if you can set some limitations here. So you are an expert web developer with expertise in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React. Your task is to follow the instructions from the user and build the React app from the description given by the user. I want Claude to return full code files. No hashtag rest of the code. Comments, I guess we can just remove that, right? So when you write code, always use descriptive variable names, use comment, but only for complicated stuff. Write clean and effective code. So that is kind of my standard template for using these custom instructions. Again, you don't have to use this, but try to include it if you have the option, right? Okay, so remember we want to kind of move on to now to start building our project, and I like to do this step by step. But if I have the opportunity and I kind of have an app in mind, I like to start with a visual description of how I want my initial app to look like. So here you can see I went over to Paint. I kind of drew out, yeah, the app I want here, like a basic template for how I want the app to look. So I kind of want to screen in half, right? And on the left side, I want to input some HTML code and some CSS code. Of course, we're going to change this later, but this is just the start of the app. And on the right side of the screen, I want to render the preview of the website. So I save this, I call it website_rt.png. So we're going to include this in our initial prompt. And speaking of our initial prompt, so this is kind of how I like to get started on our projects. So you can see I prepared an initial prompt here. So I thought we can just go through this, and then I'm going to talk a bit more about my IDE and stuff, right? So let's just create some space here and kind of go through the first prompt here. So I want to create a JavaScript React app that can live render a website as the code is being typed on the fly. So this is the ID of the app, right? While we are typing in some HTML code, or in our case, it's going to be an LLM, right? We can see the website is being built in live on the right side, right? So if you see the uploaded image, website rt.png, this is the sign I want for the app. And then we can kind of upload our image here, right? So let's just take that. And here is the image we created, right? And then you can see I'm on Windows 11. I'm using VS Code as my IDE. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I think you will need an IDE for this, but what kind of IDE you pick, that's kind of up to you. I'm on VS Code Studio, so I created a folder. I just call it website builder, I think. So I just open a new folder with this. We'll get back to this. And here is the initial features I want for the app. The user can enter an HTML code and a CSS code in separate text boxes. So this kind of reflects my design here, right? The HTML and the CSS input should be rendered in real time as the user enters the HTML and CSS code, and be displayed in the preview window to the right of the app. And I always like to create a step-by-step plan to create this app, starting with creating the React app project in VS Code, please. So I think that's going to be our initial prompt to get things started. You can see I don't put too much information. I don't mention any LLMs and stuff here because I kind of want to take it like step by step, not give too much information right away here. So I think we're going to start now running this prompt and kind of set up our React app project and see where we are on kind of these two steps. So let's just run this, right? And hopefully now we will get some instructions on how we can kind of, yeah, open our app. So we can zoom this out a bit, I think. Yeah, that's fine. So here we have the npx create app live. So we can kind of start our React project, right? We can cd into this and we get some good steps here. We're going to create this file. We have the code for this file. We have some other components here. Live preview. So yeah, I think this will look pretty good. So while we wait for this is finished, I think we're just gonna start here now. So open a terminal in VS Code. Okay, we can do that. So go here, view, terminal, right? Okay, so we got our terminal set up here. You can see that. We can zoom in a bit like this. Okay. Navigate to the directory we want to create your project. So remember we created a new folder for this. Run the following command. Okay. So let's do that. npx create React app. I don't really care about the name here. You can of course change this if you wanted to. So this is gonna create our project now here in our folder, right? This takes some time, could be up to like a minute or a couple of minutes. So let's just let this run and then we're gonna continue with our step-by-step plan, right? Okay, so that was done. So you can see now we can go back to our plan here. So we're gonna cd and go into the project folder, right? So let's just do cd live HTML CSS render and we can clear this now. Okay, you can see open the project in VS Code. I guess we can just do like this, right? We don't have to run that. You can see we have our source here, we have a public folder, and we have some package.json. You can see we have the initial prompt as I saved it here in kind of the root of the website folder here. So don't mind that. But yeah, so let's go back here now, and you can see in the source folder, create a new file called live-render.js. Okay, pretty good explanation here. So go to our source folder. Let me just move the camera a bit now so you can kind of see this. Yeah, I think that's better. So here you can kind of see our source folder here on the right. So let's just create a new file here. Let's call it live-render.js. Okay. We're just going to follow all of these steps now. So set up the basic structure. So we can just copy this code. We can go back here and paste in the code. We can make this a bit smaller now. Oops. So just paste in our code here and remember to save that. So Control S. Implement an HTML input component. So this is also going to be created in the source folder. So let's copy this. Source, new file, HTML input.js. Oops. And let's copy the code. Right. Paste it in. Save it. So now we have two components. We also want to create a component called CSS input.js. Source, new file, CSS input. And copy the code from Claude here. Paste it in and save it, right? Okay, good. And the next step is going to be create a new component again that's called live preview, also in the source folder. So let's just do that, live preview, and let's copy the code from Claude, paste it in, save it. So far, so good, right? So pretty easy. Step 6, implement real-time rendering. Update the live render to include a new component. So we have a new live renderer.js. Okay, so we can copy that, find our live renderer, paste in a new code, save it. It's basically the same though, but we're just gonna follow the steps here now. And then add styles to make the application look like the design in the provided image. And here you can see we have a live renderer.css file. So we have to create that too, right? In the source folder. New file, live renderer.css. Again, let's just copy and paste. Super easy so far. And now that we have all the components and styles in place, let's update our app.js. Here, let's copy that. And here you can already find something called app.js here, right, in our source folder. So just replace that with this code. Pretty easy, right? Okay, so that should be everything now. So save all the files in the terminal, make sure you're in the project directory, and run npm start. I'm just gonna ask first, like, are there anything we need to install? It shouldn't be now, because in the beginning I kind of said we need JavaScript, React, everything installed. So if you run into any problems on that, that should be your issue, and you can just ask here if you got any errors while running this npm start here, right? But let's just do that now and see where we are at. So we can go to our terminal here, npm start, right? So this is going to open up something in localhost 3000. We might get some issues here. Okay, so we have a white screen. That doesn't look too good. And we can click inspect. Do we have any issues here? Not really, right? So let's do some debugging. So let's just say something. Okay, I did all the steps, but the app is just a white page. Can you help me fix? So let's just do something like this. This happens all the time, so let's just see if we can get any updates here. Okay, so we have some suggestions. So it says update our app.js. So we can do that. Just copy that, find our app here. And let's just update that, right? Don't mind these errors down here now. We're gonna check them later. So we're gonna add update a new live renderer.js file, right? So remember to pick that. Okay. We're gonna we have something called index.css global styles, so we can update that. You can find this index.css here. So let's just update that too. And there's something called index.js. Let's also update that. You can find it in the source folder. Okay. And we have some debug logs in live renderer. So we can add those too, right? .js. Okay. So now here you can see, yeah, now we have something here, right? So you can see we have some HTML code we can type in here. So let's see now. Yeah, this is working pretty good. It's kind of annoying with this, so let's try to see if we can get this to work. Yeah, that looks a bit better. So you can see now, hello. Yeah, it doesn't look too good, but let's say if we change this now, live websites, and you can see this is rendering live now. If you wanted to test this a bit more, you can see we have some issues here. It's not perfect, the design, right? But it doesn't really matter too much now, right? You can see it's kind of overlapping and stuff here, but the main thing is that this is working now, and we can fix all of this. You can see this is going into this box. That's a bit weird, but we're gonna shift all that later. But for now, I think this is working pretty good. If you turn off the dark reader, you can see everything is working fine. We can change this to red, and you can see we can do green, right? And this is changing this in live rendering, right? Okay, so I think this is a good start. We kind of now have our base code here, right? Every component I think we need for this project. We're gonna start add some more components after a while now, but for now I think this is good. So now I kind of want to go back here, and I'm kind of finished with this part now. So now I want to go back to my project. I just want to start adding some files here. So I'm gonna go to my website builder here, and I'm just gonna add the files that is running this site now. So my app.js, my CSS input, HTML input, live preview, live renderer. So we have two live renderers. We have the CSS and the JavaScript. So I'm just going to add all of this file for context for the Claude 3.5 project, right? So now that we kind of have this, I think we are ready to kind of move on to the next step. And that is going to be to try to start implementing the OpenAI API into this, so we can actually use an LLM to create our real-time websites. And for this, I have gone with this second prompt. So let's just go through this. So you can see I've uploaded all the files in my real-time website builder project. You can see that on the right here. We have some more features we would like to add to this. So number one is going to be, instead of manually writing the HTML and CSS code in separate text fields, we want the OpenAI API to write the HTML and CSS code. The user should provide a description of the website in a text box that the LLM should write and should be live rendered in the preview window of in the React app. The OpenAI documentation is uploaded as OpenAI docs.txt. Create a step-by-step plan how to include this into our, I'm gonna say app here. We will hard code the API key as a test for now. This will be on the backend later, just to see if everything is working, right? So for the OpenAI documentation we're gonna upload here, I'm gonna show you, so let's just open that and I'm gonna show you kind of what this contains. So you can see here, it basically just contains one example of how we can use the OpenAI function or API call in JavaScript. And I added the system message. You are an expert software engineer with expertise in web dev, HTML, and CSS. And we're going to feed in a user query here as the input, right? That is going to be the website description. And yeah, not a lot of documentation here, but let's just try this and see if this can take our app to kind of the next step we want it to go. Okay, so you can see again, we get like a step-by-step list of things we need to do here. We need to install OpenAI. So we can just start with that. So npm install OpenAI. So we can go back here. We can actually close this now and just start an npm install OpenAI, right? So while we do that, let's go back here. You can see we need to create a new component, modify the live renderer component, update app.js, create a new file to handle API. So we're just gonna follow the steps now, and if that doesn't work, we're gonna go back and debug, right? Okay, so we install this, we can clear that. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave the camera here for now. It's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna move that. So the next thing is gonna be to create a file, user input.js, right? It doesn't say where to put this component, but we're just gonna put it in the source components here. User input.js. Okay, so user input.js. Let's copy that. Save it. Okay. We're gonna update or modify the live render.js. So let's do that. Live render.js, right? So this got about 20 new lines of code. We have the app.js. We're gonna modify that. Okay. OpenAI service.js. We're gonna create that. I think also this is it's a utility file. So this might actually be in a different folder. So I'm just gonna ask about that. So you can do, give me the folder structure, please. So let's try that, because it's annoying when if you put the created files in like a wrong folder. So let's just try to create these subfolders just to follow this structure here. So I'm gonna create a folder called components, services, and styles, and just to make it a bit more, yeah, structured. So I'm quickly gonna do this, and I'm gonna show you how it looks. Okay, so I just follow this. You can see now everything looks kind of like we have the components with our components, we have services with the OpenAI service, and we have the styles with the live renderer. And then it kind of says you have to update the imports for all of the files. I think we did that. So I think we're just gonna test it now and see where we are at, right? Yeah, I think we're gonna try this out now and see if there are any errors. And let's see if this is working. So let's just do npm start, right? There might be some errors now after we did this, but for now, let's just see. Okay, so you can see we have some errors. So we couldn't find some modules and stuff. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm just gonna outsource this. So I'm just gonna copy this. And then we're gonna ask, paste in the errors. Only the errors here. I'm not gonna do anything else. So just see now if we get like any updates. So you can see there was something wrong with our app.js, corrected live renderer. Let's just update all of this and see if that fixes the problem, right? Okay, so again, we get this white page. Let me do a quick debug on that again. So I just did all that, and now we just get a white page. Can you fix that? Okay, so we get some new updated codes here. So I'm just gonna take and update all of these components and see if that fixed our bug. Okay, so we updated all of that. You can see, okay, we still have the white page. So if I go to the console, I go to inspect, and I click on console here, you can see, oh, you have an error here. Looks like you're running in a browser-like environment. So this, can I zoom in on this? This is disabled by default and risks exposing your API key to attackers or something, right? Because you don't want to have your API key on the front end like we are now. We always have to move that to the back end. But for a test now, you can set dangerously allow browser to true just to test this, since this is local, right? But if you're gonna move this to Firebase later, we need to put the API key and the server-based processing on the back end, right? So let's just fix this now. So I just copied this error. I pasted it in here, right? And around this, and then we got kind of an updated OpenAI service. So let me copy that and paste it in here, and I'm just gonna update our API key and stuff, and let's try it again. Okay, so we did that. Now let's refresh this. Yeah, okay, you can see it's already done. We kind of changed the UI a bit here. We're gonna fix that later, but let's try it now and see if we can send a request to OpenAI. So a simple website with an H1 title. I don't really care. So let's try to click on this. Failed to generate website. Please try again. So let's see what's the problem here. We can try to go to console. So we got some errors here. Calling the OpenAI API. We got some issues. So let's just copy these errors here. Right, and see if we can, did I grab those? See if we can do some errors, right? So let's go back here. I get this error here, right? And see if we can try to fix this. If not, we kind of have to make a different approach. But let's try this for now. Okay, so we get some new suggestions here. So I'm going to copy the new OpenAI service here. So let me paste that in. Let's save that. I'm going to also copy the new updated live renderer.js. Okay, that looks good. Live renderer. Okay, yeah, let me just put in my API key and let's try again. Okay, so we did that. Now let's refresh this. Let's do a simple website with an H1 title. Let's try now. Okay, so you can see, yeah, that worked. So we kind of got the website and CSS styling. Let's try again. You can see we actually are printing out the code here. So this doesn't look too good, right? Yeah. So let's try to improve this a bit. Okay, so the first thing I want to change up here is I kind of want the design of this to be kind of split in the middle, not this horizontal or vertical solution. I kind of want it to be horizontal. So we're just going to go back to Claude here. I've made some changes to my visual prompt here. So I kind of put in website description input, live rendered. So this is kind of the outlay I want for the app, right? So let me just upload this image. So this is going to be R2, right? Let me just make a quick prompt for this. So I'm just going to go good, but I'm not happy with the layout of the app. I want the design to be like my website RT, right? Like this. A vertical split of the screen can create a step-by-step plan to fix this. So let me just run this and see if we can actually change out the layout of our app, right? Okay, so we get some components here we need to update. So I'm just going to start on that. So I'm going to update all the components here, right? As we got in this step-by-step instruction, and then we can see if that actually helped. Okay, so I updated all of this. Now let's take a look. Yeah, that looks much better. So let's run it now. So generate website. This is kind of the output I wanted, right? So now we have the website on the right here. With colors or something like that. But you can see it's not rendering live. So I kind of want this to be live, right? But first, okay, you can see it just comes in like one single response. But I kind of want to see the website being generated. We're going to try to fix that. But first, I kind of want to add like a dark mode dark theme, so our eyes don't get scorched here. So let me just quickly add a dark theme, and then we can start working on the live rendering part, right? So I'm just gonna go back to Claude. Great job. Also add a dark theme to the app. My eyes are burning. So let's do that and see if we can get a little more like a yeah, friendly theme here. This white background is horrible, right? So it says this dark theme should significantly reduce eye strain. So that sounds good. So let me just quickly update these components, and then we take a look. Okay, so if you go to the app now, yeah, that's much better. I think that looks better. So we can do a simple dark theme website with colors, right? So this should be working a bit better now. I kind of like the layout. We're gonna look at the design later, but for this, I think it's fine. So yeah, I think we got the LLM set up now. We kind of got our app kind of the design I want. I want this to be vertical split, right? So I think the next part now is gonna be to start building this live instead of having this come in as one response, right? So that is gonna be the next step. So let me show you the prompt I'm gonna use for that. Okay, so again, I'm gonna start a new chat here, but I have updated all the files in my project, right? I also added this text file that kind of shows our project folder structure. This is a smart thing to do sometimes. At least I have found this very smart to do, to add kind of our folder structure if you have like a big complex project. So the prompt we're gonna do it now is I have uploaded all the files to my for my real-time that's fine website builder project. The next step in the project is to create a feature where the live preview of the app, the website, is being rendered and displayed in real time on the fly as the tokens from the OpenAI API, OpenAI service.js being streamed, OpenAI doxed. So create a step-by-step plan to implement this feature. Because like I said, I want the website to kind of generate on the fly so we can actually see each component being built, right? That is the idea. So let's run this and see if this takes us a step closer to what we want, right? Okay, so we have some new steps here. We're gonna update the OpenAI service.js. We're gonna include streaming. Yeah, that sounds good. And we're gonna send partial results. Yeah, I think that's fine. We're gonna create a new component called streaming live preview. Okay. Streaming live preview. I suppose that's gonna go into comment, right? We're gonna update the live renderer, modify all this. So yeah, let's just get going. So let's update the OpenAI service here. So I'm gonna find the service. I'm gonna add the API keys and stuff later. And let's update. Let's create a new streaming live preview.js. So probably behind my head here, but in the source folder, I'm gonna new file. Not in the source folder, in the components folder, I'm gonna do a streaming live preview. We're gonna grab the code, we're gonna copy that, we're gonna paste it in and save it, right? We might change that up, we'll see. Update live renderer. Okay, let's do that. Okay, and update user input.js. We can do that. That should be pretty simple. Update the app.js, no changes. For live renderer, add some styles. So I'm just gonna add those styles. That's gonna be in live renderer. So I can just go, yeah, I don't really care, put them there. Okay, so now let's see. So let's write a simple website. Yeah, you can see it, perfect. This is great, right? You can see it. This is exactly what I wanted, with some cat gifs. So yeah, that seems to be working good. You can see we that was funny. You can see we have some issues here because we are struggling with some parsing errors here, and now the CSS didn't work and stuff. So I think that is gonna be our next issue to fix, right? Because it looks a bit weird. That's a funny website. And I think we can kind of move this box a bit more over here because it kind of takes up the whole screen. But for now, let's try to tackle this issue here. Let's look at the console. Any errors here? No, that looks fine. So you can see, yeah, that doesn't work perfectly. cat gifs. So we need to do some parsing here, at least to remove some stuff, because we get this, we get some text in front here. So let me try to come up with a prompt that can actually fix this issues. We might have to do some parsing here. Okay, so I went back to Claude here. Great job. We have a new issue now. The response from the API contains tokens that is not HTML or CSS code. This kind of messes up the website. The website is now like, sure, here's an example of HTML, blah, blah, blah. We only want to return what's inside HTML and kind of the dot, dot, dot. And the same with the generated CSS code. Can you help me fix this for our app, right? Okay. So we got a new updated OpenAI service. So let's update that. So OpenAI service. Okay, let's try that. Update streaming live preview, right? Let's do that. Save that. Okay, so if we go back to the app now, we can do write a website with cat gifs. Something like that. Generate site. And I think this should be better now. You can see, yeah. And do we get CSS? Yeah. Okay, that was much better. But you can see there's one thing now. Now we are not rendering this 100%. This was kind of like a more chunked version of this. So I went ahead, I did this prompt. So this worked good. It seems to be rendering the live preview in chunks. Just update the rendering as the tokens from the API is streamed, please. That looks much better, as I think you will see now. So let me just update the new components here, and then we can take a new look. Okay, so I updated the components. Now let's do write a website with, I don't know, let's do cat gifs again. So hopefully now this should be rendered in more real time, right? Yeah, this looks much better. So now we can kind of see it builds out every components and adds kind of the CSS with colors or something like that. We can try again. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. This looks much better. The website is strange though. But yeah, this looks much better and I'm kind of happy with this. So there's one thing I want to fix now. It's a bit weird here because this input field is so big. So let's do like a quick screenshot of this. Kind of already did, but yeah. And I want to reduce this side here on the left side. So we can kind of see what we type in because this is just too big, right? So let's fix that. And then we are already quite far in this project. If you ask me, just some few tweaks and maybe go to Firebase and get this on the web. And we also have to add the OpenAI processing of the API processing to the backend. So let's do that next. Okay, so I just went back to Claude. So let's just start by doing the UI change. So I took our screenshot, right? I'm going with the prompt. Let's make a change to the UI of the app. We can make the left side of the app just 1/3 of the view. Also make the text input much easier to use. Zoom in, bigger fonts, etc. Go ahead and implement this UI change, please. So let's start with that and see if that does the trick. Because we don't need this big of a text input box, right? So let's update the components and see if that gives us a better UI here. Okay, so we have a new updated live render.css. So I just paste that in here. Now we can take a look. Yeah, I think this is better. So now we kind of use 1/3 of the site here or the page to kind of do the website preview. And we have this. But I still think we can make this much smaller, the text input. So I think we can do like half of the size here and kind of zoom in to use like a bigger font here. So I'm just gonna paste in a screenshot how the UI is now. I'm just gonna go good. So let me write out this prompt. So I'm just gonna go good. This is the UI now. The text input box needs to only be 50% of the vertical space. Also make the font and the button font use 200% larger. Yeah, let's try that and see if we can kind of fix our UI a bit using this. Okay, so let's copy that. Let's paste that in here, right? And take a look now. Yeah, I think this looks better. Right. Website with some cat gifs and dark theme. I don't know. So yeah, I kind of don't like this streaming website content things, but I do like the look of the site now. Add some advanced CSS styling. I don't know. Let's try that. I kind of want to remove this streaming in progress, streaming website content. That's just annoying. Other than that, kind of happy. Yeah. So let's try to remove that text, and let's move on to moving this API calls to the backend. Okay, so I just went to my live render code here. Let's just remove this line of code. We don't need that. So let's say that. I think I can kind of tolerate to have this streaming in progress. I think that's fine. But now we got rid of the one below here. But I think this is fine. So we can keep that. And yeah, let's move the API processing now to the back end of the site instead of the front end, so we don't need to deal with this API key dangerous thing. Like, so let me start a kind of a new prompt when we are gonna do that. So again, we went back to our project. We're gonna start a new kind of thread here or chat. So I updated all of my files again with the new files we have created. I uploaded all my files. The next step is to move the OpenAI API call to a backend so we don't expose the API key to the front end of our app, right? Can you create a step-by-step plan how we can integrate this without changing anything about the front end or the features of the app list? So I think we're gonna keep it as simple as this and see if this can move our API requests to the backend, right? Okay, so here now we kind of get like a detailed step-by-step instructions on how we can do this. So let's go through this together. So the first step is going to be to set them at the backend server, right? So create a new directory for the backend. So that could be like server. Doesn't really matter, right? We're going to initialize like a new node.js, install some dependencies, create a basic Express server. We're going to move this OpenAI service to the backend. And we're going to copy the contents. We're going to modify it. We're going to create an env file in the server directory to kind of, have our API key. And then we're going to create a new route to handle this website request, update the front end part of this. And then we're going to start to do this. So let's follow the first step here. So you can see that we have to create a folder called server, right? And like a new directory here. But I kind of like to get the folder structure. So write a new folder structure now. So then we can kind of take a look here. So you can see we have our real-time website builder and we have our source. So we kind of need our server inside this, right? So if we go to our VS Code Studio, we can open up some kind of new terminal here, right? And we are in website builder. So in here is where we want to create our server folder. So we can just go here and create a new folder. We can call it server, right? Okay, so we have that here now. So then we can kind of scroll up again. And the next thing we want to, that was a bit far. Is we want to initialize this, but first we want to go into CD server, right? CD server, right? And then we can kind of initialize this. So if you go in here now, see we got a package.json, right? Install some dependencies. Just follow the steps. Express course.env OpenAI. Because now we want to load our API key from .env file. Create a server. So we need to create a file called server.js. So we're going to do this here. New file, server.js. And copy the code from this. Okay, good. And we want to move the OpenAI service to the backend. So we want to create a new file here called OpenAI service.js. So we're just gonna copy this part, right? Paste it in, save that. So now you can see our OpenAI key is not here now in the backend, but we're gonna put it in like a file called .env here, right? So create a new file, .env, right? And here is what we want to include in our env file, OpenAI key. Paste that in here. Okay, great. Next step is gonna be to update the front-end OpenAI service. Okay, so we're gonna update this again. Okay, we can do that. So update server.js. I don't think this does anything, but let's just follow the steps, right? Update the front end. So now we kind of have to go back to our source, find our services, OpenAI front end. And now you can kind of see we don't have our API key in the front end anymore. So that is good. We kind of have to load this from the backend, right? So that is kind of what we wanted to do. So we can close this now and let's go back here. Next, we need to create a .env file in the root of your React app if it doesn't already exist. So if you're unsure where is that, we can go back to our folder structure, and this is in the root. So this is kind of where our package JSON, README, and everything is. So this is kind of here. So this is going to be new file .env. So that's going to be down here, right? And we can grab this backend app backend, and we get the localhost 3001 in this file. And then we can just start testing out this. So now we kind of need to open up 2 different terminals. So we can do one terminal. We have one here now. So this is gonna do node server.js. So you can see server is running on port 3001. Okay, good. So just click the open up a new terminal here. And now we kind of need to go into our front end part and do like npm start. So there could be a lot of issues here now. But let's just try this and see where we are at. Is this working already? This looks fine, but now let's try to do a request, right? Right, a hacker website with some GIFs. Okay, so we have an issue here, right? So let's take a look at that. So if we get some errors here. Oh wait, we have some issues. So I'm just gonna grab these errors, copy, and go back here and put in our errors and see if we can solve this. Okay, so we are running this now. Hopefully we can get some, yeah, we have that. Verify the API endpoint. So let's double check. Okay, and you can see we have a new backend server here. So let's copy that. And let's update our code here. So this is some more debugging, right? Is that correct? I think so. These are some more debugging. So update the new OpenAI service.js. So let's copy that. And yeah, there's gonna be some debugging. That's just the way it is. But I think it's kind of fun. So now we kind of done that. Let's try it again. So run the server. We are running the npm. Let's remove this and try again. Okay, now we have kind of, yeah, now it worked. So it wasn't that hard to fix. So that was pretty smooth. Not a big error here, right? A hacker website with some GIFs. And now we have actually separated our API key to the backend. So we don't kind of, yeah, risk our API key being exposed in the front end. Of course, there are other issues that could arise, right, by running this. So if you're gonna put your API key on your website, just be careful because at least set a limit on your API so you don't get like a $5,000 bill, right, from OpenAI. So just always set like a limit just in case something goes wrong. But this seems to be working pretty good. It's quick, no issues. So pretty happy with this. I like my UI now. We have the backend put in place. And I think we are pretty much done. I just want to give it a bit more interesting UI, actually kind of our app. It's a bit boring, right? So let's come up with a prompt to try to style our app a bit and make it a bit more interesting. Okay, so I went with the prompt, uploaded all my files. My final step is to update the UI visuals for the app to make it a bit more interesting. I want the following UI visuals upgrades. Use the dark theme color palette. I guess it's A. Black, dark gray, like dark reader. Use the press to start font. Create a step-by-step plan to implement the front-end visual changes. Don't change any features, size, structure, functions. So I'm just gonna try this and see if we can make our app look a bit more, interesting. Okay, so we have a plan here. So we're gonna add the font. We're gonna add something called global styles. So yeah, let's just follow the steps here. So we're gonna update our index.html. So let's copy that. We can find that under public index.html. So let's update that, right? Global styles.css. So I just created under styles here, global styles.css. Let's update that. Index.js. Okay. That's great. Do that. Live renderer.css. So I'm just gonna go ahead and update all of this, and then we can see if we could change something here, right? Okay, so let's go check it out now. Yeah, I think this looks much better, but now we kind of shifted this. So I want to kind of move this part of the site 1/3 to the left. So let's try to update that so we kind of get the big preview window back again, right? So I'm just gonna let's keep the live preview window 2/3 of the app and the text box input at 1/3. So let's try to implement that and see if we can actually update that. Okay, so you can see it's better now, right? But we have to scroll. That's a bit annoying. Are we at 100%? Yeah, we still have to scroll. That shouldn't be, and we still have to reduce this vertical space by 50%. So let me just add in a few more changes here. So I'm just gonna go better, but the text box should be 50% of the vertical space, have bigger fonts and on text input and button, reduce the height of the preview window a bit so we don't have to scroll the page. So let's see if that changes this, and we should be pretty close to done here. So I just went a bit back and forward. Final prompt I did here is the preview window is default to white. Can we have that to be dark gray instead of this scheming hard white here, right? So we got the new code for streaming preview.js, updated that, and we are looking like this now. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I think we can try it. So write a hacker website with, I don't know, some relevant GIFs. Click that and see what happens here. But it should be working pretty good. And yeah, pretty good, nice. It's blinking. So yeah, I think we are actually done with the app now. And the final thing I want to do, and that is to actually take this and add something down here that I think I want to call modify website. So this means that we can actually modify what we see on the screen. So it's kind of going to keep the state of our code, and we can actually change the code as it is now. So let me try to set that up in Claude and see if we can implement this while keeping everything else as is. So I went back to Claude projects again, uploaded all our new files. I uploaded all the files. The last feature I want to add is the following: a text box below the generated website box that is called modify website, exact copy of the existing box. So I uploaded like an image. So I kind of drew in the part here, right? This text box can send an input that modifies the current HTML CSS code already generated. Create a step-by-step plan to implement this into my app code, please. So let's just try with this and see if we can create a box that can actually modify the page we already have. Okay, so we got some clear instruction back from this. You can see the full list here. We're gonna update the live renderer. We're gonna create a new component called modified website input. I think that's fine. Update all our other components like the backend server.js, open service.js, the front end and the back end. because we need a new text box, right? So I went ahead, I implemented all of this. I needed to write the full OpenAI service because this kind of got cut off here because we reached the maximum length. So I just write a new full OpenAI service backend. That worked pretty good. We got an error initially here, so I just copied the error code here and put it back into Claude. I went a bit back and forward, double checked that I had done everything correct. It seemed fine. So I put in a new error again, and yeah, we just went a bit back and forward here and we got a debugging code, and it worked. So we ended up with this. So I wanted to kind of adjust the text boxes. So I just went, one more thing, just make sure the two text boxes are visible and equal amount of distance, because you can see they kind of overlapped each other here. So that was a bit annoying. I just went through all of this, just adjusted for these text boxes, and we got this. So I wanted to add some space, so I just took a screenshot, and yeah, at the end here, I think we kind of ended up with something I was pretty happy with. So if we take a look at the builder now, boom, we got this. It's a bit of different font here, but I think it works pretty good. So the thing we can do now is, let's say, let me type in something here. So do a retro 90s hacker website with some advanced CSS matrix rain animations and an H1 title. Okay, so that is kind of our initial website description, right? So let's see if we can kind of build this here in real time. Should be fine. Yeah, I think this looks pretty cool. Do we get any matrix rain animation? We'll see. Even if that doesn't work, yeah, that was a bit strange. And then now we can kind of modify this, right? So we can do remove the matrix rain animation, right? So we can modify it, because now we kind of keep the code and we can edit the code as we go here, right? Okay, so we move that and we can do change the title to 2000s hacker website, right? So we can change the title, and yeah, that is kind of what I was looking for. So that's pretty good. And we can do a bunch of other things, right? We can do like add an embedded YouTube video below the title. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff we can just do now with the modify part. So now we will kind of keep the title here we had from before, right? So yeah, I think it works pretty good, and I think that is kind of the final part of this project. So I think we are basically done. So what I'm gonna do now, that's probably gonna be in another video. I'm just gonna deploy this. So you can go in the link, follow the link in the description, and you can actually try it out for yourself. So I'm gonna use Firebase for this now, but I'm gonna skip this for the video. That might be in an upcoming video if you wanna know more about how to deploy this. So basically this was just going through how we can make the code for this using 100% LLM generated code. So yeah, let me do like a final conclusion on this. And like I said, you can try this out by following the link in the description. So yeah, we have completed another LLM project where we kind of used the Claude 3.5 in this case for the full project. And I gotta say, I'm super happy how it turned out. Again, I think every time we do this, it keeps just getting easier and easier. So I personally am quite optimistic about the future of this. I know some of you follow this channel to kind of learn more about, I don't know, coding and stuff like that. So the channel, I decided to take this in a direction where most of the focus is gonna be to use LLMs to generate projects, apps, websites, all kind of stuff. We're also gonna follow, of course, the newest models. We're gonna do some more niche topics like testing out new models and stuff like that. But the main gist of the channel is gonna be actually using these LLMs now in practice, trying to build stuff. I think that is what's most important, right? The technology can be cool and stuff, but if it doesn't really make it into some kind of practice, it doesn't really matter how good it is. So I want to kind of take everything we kind of get from this new technology and try to apply it into some real world use cases, right? I think we have done today. Of course, this is maybe not the most useful thing, but it is a cool project, and you could apply this to other project too, kind of the workflow we did today. So hopefully you learned something. I'm kind of super excited to see where we can take this going forward. That's going to be pretty interesting. So I kind of hope, like I said on the screen here, if you enjoy this kind of video, give it a like, maybe leave a comment what you think. Do you want to try this out for yourself? And follow for more interesting stuff coming up this fall, at the end of summer and fall. I have some plans, and we're gonna try to do some cool project, but like I said, we're also gonna follow the new models and test things out, maybe create some benchmarks of our own. I have something in the works doing that. That was a pretty cool animation, by the way. I kind of enjoy that. So you can see we kind of iterate it over and over again. But yeah, like I said, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned for more videos like this. This was a long one, but I kind of want to do like a full tutorial, because I've been doing like this semi-tutorials, but this is going to be like a full one from beginning to finish. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again pretty soon. There's going to be some live streams and stuff. Hope you will join in for that. But thank you for your time. Have a great day, and we speak soon.